Imagine an empire so wealthy it accounted for 25–30% of global GDP. Now imagine that same empire constantly losing territory to its neighbors. Welcome to the Song Dynasty, history's greatest economic powerhouse and military paradox. Founded in 960 CE by Emperor Taizong, the Song emerged from the chaotic Five Dynasties period. The new emperor had a traumatic memory. He'd witnessed military commanders overthrowing their masters. This fear would shape everything. Taizong made a fateful decision. He centralized military power like never before. Regional commanders lost their autonomy. The best troops were stationed in the capital, not on the borders. This prevented rebellion, but created a fatal weakness. The Song military became a bureaucratic nightmare. Commanders changed frequently to prevent loyalty building. Civilian officials oversaw generals. This ensured political stability, but made effective defense nearly impossible. Meanwhile, the economy exploded. Population doubled to over 100 million. Agricultural innovations like early ripening rice created food surpluses. For the first time, most Chinese didn't need to farm to survive. Cities became economic engines. Kaifeng, the northern Song capital, reached over 1 million residents. Markets operated day and night. This was the world's first truly urbanized society. The government made revolutionary economic choices. They stopped trying to control prices. They reduced commercial taxes. Most importantly, they embraced merchants instead of shunning them. Then came the game changer, paper money. Copper coins were too heavy for massive transactions. In the 11th century, the Song issued the world's first government-backed paper currency. This financial revolution enabled unprecedented scale. Merchants could move wealth instantly. The government could pay armies across vast distances, but it also created new vulnerabilities. Technology flourished under Song patronage. Movable type printing spread knowledge. Gunpowder weapons emerged. The magnetic compass revolutionized navigation. But these innovations served commerce more than conquest. The civil service examination system reached its peak. Scholars who mastered Confucian classics governed the empire. These officials valued stability, education, and revenue over military glory. Foreign policy reflected this mindset. Instead of conquering neighbors, the Song paid them. The 1005 Treaty of Shanyuan promised annual payments to the Liao dynasty. This was cheaper than maintaining a massive army. The economy could afford it. Porcelain production became industrialized. Iron output reached levels Europe wouldn't match for centuries. Textile workshops employed thousands. Productivity was the real Song weapon. International trade exploded. Chinese ships reached East Africa. The maritime Silk Road flourished. Guangzhou became a global port where Arab, Persian, and Southeast Asian merchants traded. But the military weakness had consequences. In 1127, the Jurchen Jin dynasty captured the northern Song capital. The emperor was captured. The court fled south, establishing the southern Song. This disaster should have ended the dynasty. Instead, the southern Song became even richer. Losing the north forced innovation. The Yangtze Delta became an economic powerhouse. Southern Song China developed the world's most advanced navy. They built massive warships with paddle wheels and catapults. But this navy protected trade routes, not launched invasions. Agricultural productivity soared further. Terraced hillsides, improved irrigation, and new crops transformed the landscape. The South could feed its population and still export surplus. Private commerce flourished as never before. Contract law developed. Joint stock companies appeared. Merchants formed guilds. The government mostly stayed out of their way. Education spread widely. Printing made books affordable. Perhaps half of Song men achieved basic literacy, unprecedented in world history. Knowledge became a commodity. The arts reflected this prosperous society. Landscape painting reached perfection. poetry flourished. Scholar officials created a sophisticated urban culture that valued refinement over martial virtue. But the military problem never disappeared. The Song developed advanced gunpowder weapons, fire lances, grenades, even early rockets, yet they couldn't overcome structural weaknesses. The examination system created another problem. The best minds became civil officials, not military commanders. Military service carried low prestige. Talent flowed away from defense. Cavalry remained a critical weakness. The Song lost northern pasture lands to the Jin. They tried breeding horses in the south, but these were inferior to steppe horses. Infantry couldn't match nomadic cavalry. The tribute system became increasingly expensive. Payments to the Jin drained resources, but the economy kept growing, so the court continued paying. It was a calculated trade, wealth for security. Then came the Mongols. Genghis Khan united the steppes. His successors conquered the Jin, then turned south. The Song faced the greatest military machine the world had ever seen. Initially, the Song resisted effectively. They had fortified cities, naval superiority, and wealth to hire troops. The Mongols struggled with Song River defenses and fortified cities. The war lasted decades, the longest Mongol conquest. The Song used their wealth effectively, rebuilding armies after defeats, but their defensive mindset prevented decisive counterattacks. Kublai Khan finally adopted Song strategies. He built his own navy. He used Chinese siege engineers. Most importantly, he exploited Song political divisions. In 1276, Hangzhou fell, but loyalists continued resistance from offshore. The final battle came in 1279 at Yamen. The Song navy was destroyed. Ministers jumped into the sea with the child emperor rather than surrender. The Song paradox ended in tragedy. Unprecedented wealth couldn't overcome military weakness forever, but their legacy transformed China and the world. Song economic innovations outlasted the dynasty. Paper money became standard. Commercial practices spread. The examination system continued. Their economic model became the Chinese norm. Technological diffusion changed the world. Gunpowder reached Europe. The compass enabled global exploration. Printing transformed knowledge transmission. Song innovations shaped modernity. The Song choice, commerce over conquest, created a lasting template. Later Chinese dynasties prioritized economic stability. The Confucian scholar-official ideal became entrenched. Today, we still live with Song legacies: paper money, examination-based meritocracy, commercial innovation. Their belief that economic strength matters more than military expansion still resonates. The Song paradox teaches us that strength has multiple dimensions. Military power is visible but fragile. Economic and cultural influence can be more enduring, even if less dramatic. Perhaps the Song weren't weak, they just prioritized differently. In a world obsessed with conquest, they built civilization. Their wealth created arts, technology, and institutions that outlasted empires. Next time you use paper money, remember the Song. When you see examination systems, think of their meritocracy. Their choice to build rather than destroy created a legacy that still shapes our world.